for 25 years, Global Choices has built a business that feels deeply rooted in people, purpose, and care. In an industry often driven by products, processes, and performance metrics, there's always been something noticeably human about the way the brand shows up in its conversations, its thinking, and the way it supports people through some of life's difficult moments. As Global Choices marks this milestone, I'm chatting to Wimpie van der Merwe, CEO of Global Choices, to reflect on the journey behind the business, the lessons learned, the evolution of the brand, the values that have remained constant, and why the human element continues to matter so much in everything Global Choices do. Welcome, Wimpie. It is absolutely great to have a chat.
Thank you very much, Marianne. And yes, 25 years of you, it sounds, it's like a long time. And it also sometimes make you reflect and say, "Shoo, where did that go?" Because, one thing we can't control is time. We only got so much time on Earth and around the sun. So yes, I'm very grateful to reach this milestone. But yeah, I still feel like I can do another 25. I'm not 100% sure I will, but because of
and
the
then
age.
Other people will want you to, because in 25 years, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But congratulations from FA News side, and well done. It's absolutely a great achievement. I know the history, I know your story, so it really is a great story. So, and when you look back at the 25 years, Wimpie, what do you think has changed the most, and what has intentionally never changed?
The one thing that has definitely changed a lot is the evolution of technology. Entitlement and demand for service and customer centricity, that's something that never changed. And that will always remain. And it's that human factor. And that's something even with the technology now, we're moving to the next generation of technology and digital solution, that's AI, and how it's going to become embedded into our daily lives. There's still going to be this human touch and customer centricity, because all these solutions we have developed is to find solutions for challenges or problems. But sometimes by striving for it, we also create some new ones for us. And that will also never change in that regard. It's always about the control, or especially in our capitalism world, is who's controlling what and who's making what money. And that will always be there. And that will also not change, I think, over time. Because if history is a benchmark, it was always there. There was always wars around certain resources. We can see it now about fighting over oil and that energy. And now the next stage is about what is going to be the next new energy resource to sustain our lives on this planet. Sorry, I became quite philosophical there.
No, I love it. I love it. But I mean, my next question was going to be about the human element, but you shared that, and and that is what we all see always as part of the Global Choices model. You don't see that always, so it is always great to see that. Businesses evolve over time, often because the world around us change. I mean, I think Global Choices is once again a prime example of how your business evolved. What were some of your defining moments or shifts that really shaped Global Choices into what it is today?
So in 2001, 2002, when we started Global Choices, the whole focus was around travel and tourism and creating solutions, because there was also a change in that industry. And by default, I got involved with that with my, my previous late wife's business. And when I found a solution for a business model, and we got involved with medical aids because of what Vitality was creating for Discovery, and there was this migration from their medical aids their medical aids to Discovery because of Vitality program. So by default, I became actually a counter for that. And then legislation changed, because from travel I moved into movies and books and wines and CDs and gym memberships, wine, and then because we were also providing services to banking clients and credit cards, etc. Because of the platform we created in those days. So, and the legislation changed, and you can't add a non-medical product to a medical aid product. So you had to start asking a question. So, what's the sustainability of your existing business model? And that's how we got into the 24-hour emergency call center space to focus on the short-term insurance and life insurance market. By partnering with the companies that was already in that space and outsourcing that's something I realized, because that simple underlying thing is the customer centricity, the customer experience, and that realizing the importance of customer experience. And if you outsource it, you also lose touch with that promise you make, because they don't share the same, maybe the customer value than you. So that's when we started in creating our own 24-hour call center to be more hands-on and focus on that customer experience. And that also evolved from those days to now as the total experience strategy. It's focusing on all the different touch points, all the different solutions or the value adds that you create, and the experiences a customer when they use it on those technology platforms or through the call center or through a service provider, what the experience is going to be. And that always maintained is that creating a differentiating factor, and always ask the question, what can we do better and how can we do it better when there's challenges or problems or failures of the experience.
I think a lot of people know you, but talk to me about employee.
So it actually all started because, we don't really build a brand around Global Choices. It's just a name that we started, and I always believed the foundation of it, life is about choices. And this is how you can take responsibility for those choices you make. So when an employee became part of the team, it was a choice to be there. And I always got that approach that when you take on a responsibility in our company, you made a choice and you must take that responsibility. But we can help you or guide you or give you the skills or education to go through it. But that choice is very important, because we believe in you as an individual, that you will do the right thing at the right time for the customer. Our payoff line is adding to life. So that's also very much part of our training, is that how can you add value to a client's life? The foundation of all of those things, and especially from my side as a trained architect, we did by nature design thinking, and the foundation of design thinking is empathy. This is a very difficult thing to manifest as a culture in your business. So you need to make that an objective, is put yourself in the shoes of the customer that you provide a service for, and how you would like to be treated. And sometimes just how can you do it better? And that's the one thing we always, and that's that compounding effect, is by almost asking yourself daily, what could I have done better today that I will try tomorrow? And that's that compounding effect. It's all those small little things that you do, but it is also rewarding people for great service and give them the tools to be able to provide a great service. Communication is a very important thing. That's also the technology. There's all these touch points that can help with that communication. Yes, we don't, at the moment, we deal very much with like emergency services or risk events that, it's not a nice experience, and how you can evolve around, because insurance is very much about protecting assets or people's lives. But if you give people a little bit of the holistic approach, where everything fits in, and what our objective is how we can add value to people's lives. And that never changed over the years. And we also have to refine our skills. It's an ongoing process. And I always say empathy makes you curious about your clients. If you mess up, and yes, we're in a service industry, we're not going to get everything 100% right, but we do try to get it close to 99.9%.
Was there any of your offerings that really hit the mark on the spot at that stage? Second part is, do most of your ideas on launching something new comes generally over time, or do you sometimes have that aha moment?
Because I do believe in history and what you can learn from history. So if you actually go back at our evolution as humans, how we evolved and became quite dominant in the on Earth, was finding solutions for problems and challenges, and that's part of design thinking. So being an entrepreneur is finding a solution for a challenge at that time. Like with 24-hour assistance services is giving people access to support and help and care around a specific event. And there's many examples. We do about between 15 and 17,000 emergency cases a month. So there's a lot of stories where you help people or support people. And when I focus on, one of the products I created is because I went through the experience myself. It was the Crime Victim Assist, a product that we created after my attack in Durban over 9 years ago. And the experience I had from that, because it was quite a traumatic thing, and I had to take that and actually put it into law solution pockets and then put it all together. So the whole focus on that is, when a person is a victim of crime, what solutions can you provide? So we came up with this Crime Victim Assist box with a cell phone, prepaid airtime, a Rekit with an app, a WeCare app on it. We got access to different tools and a call center and a whole range of value-added proposition. And we launched it in the market, and it's been well received. But that's one of the products you don't want people really to utilize, because then it means that someone was a victim of crime. But it is, average we do 4 or 5 a week. Throughout the country. But that's when I realized what we do. We actually do create a unique experience. But the reality of it all is, I think, is that simple thing. When you're in trouble, the biggest thing is you want to know that you're not alone. There's someone that actually can take care and help you. And that's one of the biggest things especially where we're going through a time period where people suffer from mental health issues, is that simple word, help, asking for help. It's the bravest thing you can do. And that's just I've learned it from many years ago, spending 3,000 kilometers in a car with a Muslim colleague of mine. And he gave me this advice, and I always, use it quite a lot. In life, you can only ask, and people can only say yes or no. And that's how you interpret no. And I've learned that as an entrepreneur.
I love that.
When I was presenting things to a client, and they say no, in the early days when I was just me walking there, presenting this solution for a medical aid, and they said, "But who are your clients?" I said, "No, I want you to be my first." I said, "I come back when you've got a client." So, it's that simple thing when I say no, but they didn't say no forever. They say, "Come back." So I went and found my first client by creating a deal where I didn't make any money. I did it for free, but I could say they're my client. And then I used that as a platform to, so you find solutions around all these. I would say that's one thing I've learned, is you define your constraints to find creative solutions. And I think it's very much part of the foundation as being an entrepreneur. Yes, sometimes it's hard when you think, oh, shit, this is not going to work, and it's a failure. And Afrikaans is an excellent word for it, moedeloos. You sit there in your self-absorbing chair of doubt, and you say, okay, but then you find that small little thing that can change it, or solution, and then you gain momentum again. And that's what makes us as humans quite unique, with all the challenges we face, and even in the world. And I always promote that in South Africa, we've got that resilience, that grit. You go out there and you just find a way.
To make it work.
Take that small step, that one step, and then, becomes many steps, but then you find a solution in that.
I love your can-do and solution-driven mind, Wimpie. Let's end off with what is next.
We take all our existing products and we're enhancing it and and make it more better, and it will never stop. It will always evolve. But it's also new markets, things like employee benefits that we're focusing on, simple things like critical illness, that we're launching a new product on that by taking through the experiences, not to interfere with the medical processes. It's actually what the individuals is going through and what we can do to support them around that journey. Or a person after a stroke, etc. But it also doesn't stop there. It's to focus on around what the family is going through and the trauma that they experience when a person has been diagnosed with cancer, etc. And part of the thing is adding to life. So I do believe we develop certain unique skills and IP, and so we're going to start a whole academy, call center and employee, where we will use that as part of our responsibility, social responsibility, and our BBBE contributions with bursaries and so on. But it's also to focus on the youth of our country, because that's also important. Give them skills that they can develop here and evolve and maybe use it in another country. We always focus on our problems in this country, but we've got unique individuals and creative thinkers in this country. And if you go and look at all the things, like prepaid airtime comes from South Africa and prepaid electricity, because
and please call me, don't forget.
Yeah, please call me. That's another. But all those things that develop in South Africa and become the norm in other countries and other African countries as well. So that's what we need to focus on, is finding, and always, as I simply use that word, remain curious, because there's always opportunity somewhere that you can improve and better something. Even your own business and what we do, because I always say we're not, not getting everything 100% right, but we remain curious of what can we get right as quick as fast, and make it quite urgent as well in the evolution of things.
It was great to chat. I always enjoy having a conversation with you, Wimpie, because you make us think about a lot of things, and I love your analogies as well. So thank you for that. Once again, thank you. Congratulations on your 25 years, and here's to another 25.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay.